everyone. It's Lou Cardillo with Cardillo Real Estate.
Dominic Evlivo with Cardillo Real Estate, and
Michael Lubick from Traditions 118 Restaurant.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And Michael, thank you so much for giving us time today to talk about you, your business, your restaurant. We've known each other a long time. Great restaurant. If anyone has not been to Traditions, you have to check it out. Mike's, well, you'll tell the story about the restaurant, but Mike has taken what Traditions has built a base upon. How long has your mother owned it?
We've been here 18 years.
So 18 years, Mike has pretty much taken over in the last 2 years and has grown the clientele base and food to the next level. So I'll let Mike talk about that. So Mike, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome. Nice to have you guys.
Yep. So tell us a little about Traditions, how it started, and your role, and then about some food.
So we opened up almost 18 years to the date. I think it was first week of June, 2004. We opened it as Traditions. We had bought it from a gentleman named Maxime. It was a high-end French restaurant.
Which I used to actually work here when there was Maxime's.
There you go. It was just
I was a chef, I was a server.
Just a couple years ago. So yeah, Maxine had still owned it. Someone owned it in between them for about a year, but Maxine was really still the owner. Worked a deal. We found the place. I just finished college, or finishing college, and I saw an ad in the Penny Saver for a restaurant in Granite Springs. And I just said to my mom, what's this? And she goes, I don't know. And it was with the Dwyer agency, actually, at the time. And we called, and my mom went and looked at it. She had never really been here. I had never been here. I was only 22, 23 years old. And we just called and said, I see some potential here. It didn't look like this.
Not at all.
It was beat up.
It was beat
Not
up,
only the look of it, but the roof, the floors.
Everything.
Heaters, hot waters, electrical system, the whole world. Everything had to be fixed and redone. And we worked a deal. We went in basically 100% financed.
Yeah. Seller financing? They held a note?
They held a note.
Cool.
Plus we borrowed against the house.
Yep.
Got a little help from my grandfather. But really we went in 100% financed.
So what it sounds like you're saying is that you saw a vision. So understand the business, right? So you see a vision, you want to capitalize on it. Maybe the money might not be right at the time, but you figured out a way to strategically make it work, and you pretty much put it all on the line to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing to lose. I was a kid. My mother had a good corporate job,
but
she quit and just said, "Screw it, let's."
But you're from a family of, so this is not your mother's first restaurant, right?
No,
you had Pinocchio's and stuff like that back in the day.
No. So my grandfather had Eduardo's in Mount Kisco, starting maybe 50 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And then my Uncle Eddie ran that. My Uncle Kevin had restaurants. My mother literally went into labor while making pizza down the street with me. So her first restaurant she owned, that was in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Wow. So I kind of grew up in it.
It's in the blood.
I always waited on tables. My mother wanted me to have nothing to do with this business.
Yeah.
You're going to go to Syracuse, you're going to go get a job in finance, and you're not going to hustle like the rest of us.
Yeah.
20 years later, I'm hustling like the rest of them. But we were fortunate. And I think the biggest thing is you mentioned a vision. We had a vision of a restaurant. We didn't want to go too Italian. We didn't want to go too American. We kind of wanted to go in between. Actually, the initial name was called Prima 118.
Right.
So if you look, our corporate name is still Prima 118. Last minute, we decided sounded too Italian.
Yeah.
We didn't want to go strict Italian. Eventually, Primavera's opened up, so that would.
Yeah, it's good.
So that kind of, we stayed away from the Italian name, even though that's our specialty. That's what we really know best. We didn't want to go strictly Italian.
No, it's smart.
Thank God in hindsight, because Italian food generally isn't the healthiest. It isn't the most gluten-free. It isn't the most vegan, the vegetarian. So we gave ourselves that room. But with that said, we signed up for a restaurant. That was kind of our vision.
Yeah.
Never did we think we would become like this, that the catering would be such a big part, that the private events would be such a part. So like that's the part of business that you don't plan for.
Right.
Like we knew going in we were gonna be a restaurant. Never did I think that 30 to 40% of my business was going to come via parties and catering.
So is it true what they say, like when you have parties catering, but the restaurant pays the bills, but the money is mostly in the catering and the other avenues? Because my brother owns delis, as you know, and he says the deli gets him in the door, but he makes a lot of his profit on the catering and stuff like that.
I think in our case that's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Not every restaurant has the ability to do
Right,
parties.
they
don't have the private area, they don't have the space.
Yeah.
We're one of the few restaurants that does have the ability to do a smaller party. Obviously, you have Villa Barone, but that's on a whole different scale. They're doing large
Big
events.
monster, and that's what they do.
You know, they don't do events for I think less than 65. You know, whereas I could do a 20, a 30, a 40 person party. You know, the room we're in right now, I could do 20 people in here.
So there's, you got a great location, great vibe, atmosphere, but obviously really, really good food. But do you think that you and your mother's personality play a role in why people come back?
Oh, of course.
So I just think it has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I grew up watching my grandfather, watching my uncle, watching my mother, the way they dealt with customers, the way they, speak to people, and like it just became ingrained in our head.
Yeah. You guys are generous with things. Portions are good, but even when we come in, we do events for our Keller Williams office. I mean, you guys are overly generous with us, and you take care of the people that take care of you and come back,
It's so
it goes unnoticed.
Especially around here, like you look in bigger cities, and there's really no face, and that's okay.
It's okay, yeah, it works.
But around here, you kind of need a face.
Yeah.
And
it's different with absentee owners versus owners that are
correct
here.
Yeah.
24/7.
We can't get away now.
No.
That's it. We're here. There's no.
You are tradition.
Yeah, we can't hide. I have managers, I have party bookers, but at the end of the day, there's certain people that are like, we want to speak to Michael and Lisa.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They won't even speak to anybody else.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. I've tried to push away from that.
I know.
Yeah, you're one of them. Yeah. You call me on my cell phone. But there's about a half a dozen people that we'll still deal with.
Right.
And the reason why I'm trying to not step back, but
you're trying to grow a brand, I guess, or trying to grow leverage through other people.
Yeah. No, and I do other things besides the restaurants. I need some type of free time away.
Like MMA fights and stuff, and boxing.
No, business.
He does too.
But he screwed me up.
I'm sorry.
So the reason why, I don't want to say took a step back, the reason why I'm trying to put people in places to handle this is it allows me to focus on the things that I should be focusing on. So I could take a look at the kitchen and be like, oh, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, or oh, maybe we forgot this, or especially now with the costs. I mean, it's in every business. Right. I could spend an extra hour or two figuring out, like who has the better butter this week that's a little cheaper, or so I could use my time more wisely.
Yep.
And not have to worry about booking a party. I have someone to do it. And the other thing is for years people would call us on their cell phones, which is fine.
Yeah.
But how many times? I think I even did it with you.
Yeah, you've done it.
I forgot to put it in the book, or I'm at the gym and I get a text message, hey, I'm going to come in with 20 people next Saturday. Okay, no problem.
You forget.
And I forget. I mean, it's happened so many times that I'm like, that's it. People do. I say, here, call the restaurant, ask for so and so. I'll double check it. But it wasn't being effective.
So let's talk about the economy now in the restaurant business. So. Actually, before I get to that, I want to say something you just said that was really smart about how you can spend your time more wisely by overlooking at the kitchen or bringing down prices, because that's where your time should be spent as a business owner. And as you know, my brother owns delis, and it's a very different feel when you're on, say, this side of the counter, quote unquote. And I tell my brother, like, hey, once a week, just step outside on the other side of the counter. When you're looking at it from this side, you could see how your customers are interacting. You could see little pain points, see how things are maybe not working as effectively. And he does that, and he's like, Lou, it's like two totally different businesses. From this side, it looks one way, but from this side, I could hear what my people are saying, what they're doing. And so I think by you working on it more than in it, quote unquote, has helped you be able to fine tune and take traditions to the level that it's at now, right?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest, it kind of spins off of what you're saying, is the biggest problem. And I'm not criticizing anyone or thinking better than anyone, but the biggest problem with people who own restaurants is they do what they want.
Yeah.
It's not about what you want, it's about what your customers want. You can have a vision, you can have an idea of what you want to do and what you want to serve, but at the end of the day, it's not about what you want. It's about the customers want. It's about do they like this? Do they like that? Do they think your place is too gaudy? Do they think it's too country? Are they not a fan of the servers? even your menu items, like
Yeah.
it's not about what you want. And I see so many times people go, and I've been guilty of it. You go and do things that you want to do, but it's not about you.
Right, and then like, you get tired. Like, you create a great item and you put in the menu, and no one's buying into it, but you keep pushing the item, and you're like,
No.
but you realize it doesn't work, and move on.
It could be something as simple as the music in the background, the color of the lights.
Yeah,
You know, you just really, it's about the customers.
yeah.
You know,
As long as you
and
don't end up on a TV show, Gordon Ramsay, I think.
yeah, no.
Restaurant takeover. What's that guy's
That's
name?
actually-
John Tapper.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
Oh,
another
Bar
one,
Rescue.
yeah, yeah.
That's the part.
I don't like him. I like the
Ramsey guy?
Kitchen Nightmares is my favorite show.
Oh, Kitchen
Yeah.
I've seen every one. It amazes me that these places exist,
Yeah.
but I know they exist. I've seen some of it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the economy.
Yeah. Has it put a damper on your business? Has it hurt the business? Has it gotten better? I know costs are up, and I gotta say, your menu prices are still very, very fair for what you're
Yeah.
paying. So it's not like you're jacking. Like even your
can't.
steak is like the cheapest steak around. It's dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm serving prime strip steak.
Yeah, prime.
Prime. Really serving prime.
Yeah.
I could show you the label. It's prime. A lot of places you go, you see prime. I promise you, it's not prime. If you're paying under $40 for something that says prime, they are lying to you.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It is not going to happen. If they tell you they're serving you wild salmon for under $35, for under $40, I promise you they're lying to you. It's impossible.
Yeah.
The costs are just too high, and I see it everywhere. It drives me nuts. But people don't know. But we use the strip steak as an example.
Yeah.
Right now, I put it back on my menu. It's somewhere in the 50s. Very reasonable for strip
Very
steak.
reasonable, yeah.
With the sides and the sauce and all the stuff. It's not a la carte the way
Yeah.
a steakhouse does it. At one point, about a month or two ago, that steak, just the steak, not the salt, the pepper, the sides, the sauce, the guys to cook it, anything. The steak was costing me $38.
Oh my god.
I'm like, how am I gonna?
Right.
I can't charge $90 for steak. I can't charge $70. I can't even really. You don't want to push the $60 mark.
Right.
So I took it off my menu.
Yeah.
And people came
business.
in, where's your strip steak? I said, well, I'm not changing the quality.
Right.
I'm just not going to serve it.
Right.
Right.
And that's another mistake, once again, not that I'm any better than anyone else, is right now, because the costs are so high, you're going to catch people changing the quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just mean meat. It could be butter, it could be flour, it could be grated cheese.
Yeah.
Mozzarella.
Cheese is through the roof. Oh my god.
Cheese. I mean, there's grated cheese. It goes from here to here.
Yeah.
The cheap stuff has rice flour in it. The
Sawdust?
good stuff. Yeah. Basically, it's what it is. Yeah. So we refuse to change the quality. If something's too expensive, lobster, I took it off. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't charge for lobster what I would need to charge.
Right.
So the lobster roll got replaced by a shrimp roll.
I recently had a lobster roll and it was terrible, so probably low quality. No, of course not.
I mean, lobster's $45 a pound for the meat.
Yeah, it's insane.
What are you going to charge for a lobster roll?
Yeah, it's true.
So you have to get creative. You have to focus on quantity, meaning turnover. You just got to keep people coming through the door. So if you make $1 or $2 less on a dish, just try to get 1 or 2 more customers, and it makes up for it.
Right.
And
So
that's all.
so outside the restaurant, you have a pretty
Yeah.
good bar crowd.
Yep.
Happy to do happy hours?
We actually don't do an official happy hour, just because it's kind of where we're located.
Yeah.
We're not in the middle of like businesses.
Yeah.
We've tried little things here and
Yeah.
there. It never worked for us. It just never took off. It's just not the right scene for
But
it.
there's one thing that you guys do that really no one else around us does, and it's on the first Friday of every month. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so we have 2 special nights. First Friday of the month, it was originally deemed disco night. We got yelled at because they weren't just playing disco music. So some people call it DJ dance night, some people call it disco night, but at the end of the day, it's a DJ, the first Friday of the month. We've been doing it for probably 12 years. And
Was your mother's brainchild? Your mother started that? Or you don't remember?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I don't think
something-
I thought of disco night.
But it's mostly freestyle music, right?
Yeah, it's freestyle. Yeah, it's like 70s, 80s.
You like the Guidos and stuff?
Yeah,
It's cool. It's cool. I love it. It's a fun event.
It's packed every time.
Packed. I mean, wall to
the
wall.
bar's 3 deep. Every table's taken. It's usually large groups of women. It's couples.
Yeah.
It's everything you can imagine.
Everyone talks about it, though. You're going to make traditions of it.
Yeah.
And they know it's the first Friday of every month.
Yeah,
And it's cool.
and that's another, like from a business perspective, people come in there, why don't you do this every Friday?
Yeah, it would
Look
die
how
out.
much. Look how much money you make. Well, people look forward to it once a month.
Yes, 100%. Agree.
If you did it every week, it would
cheapen it.
It becomes normal.
No,
cheaper,
you can't do it. People all the time, why don't you do this? No, once a month. And then I get a bad reputation for being like a club. That's not what this is.
It's not a club, right?
People come and have dinner, and then they dance afterwards.
There's really not much to do around here. I mean, it's great.
There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
You know, in the summers, you get some things outside, some country clubs doing stuff. But come when it gets cold out,
Yeah.
there's nothing to do. And I think we kind of filled that void.
Yeah. And what's the
Um,
second event you do?
Oh, we just started doing Taco Tuesdays.
Oh, cool. I didn't know
We've
that.
only done it twice, and it works really well. Like we have, we have like it's almost like a happy hour.
Yeah.
Nothing super expensive.
Yeah.
We have frozen margaritas like $7 or $8 or something
Cool.
like that. But it works.
So you're
And
really
actu-
not pigeonholing yourself into Italian. You're
No,
very
no,
diverse in your
that's,
menu.
that goes back
That's
to what I
cool.
said in the beginning. But the Taco Tuesday thing, we thought of it because we did Cinco de Mayo,
Yeah.
and people went crazy for it.
Yeah.
They're like, this food's unbelievable. I said, screw it, let's do it every Tuesday.
Yeah.
And one of my guys in the kitchen just so happens that he worked for me for years. He had the opportunity to be the #1 guy at another Latino restaurant about 3 years ago. And he came to me, he didn't want to leave here because he felt terrible. But he knew he'd never be the #1 guy. He was literally crying. I love it. I said, go. You got to go.
Right.
There was more money. I said, you got to go. He went. He was there maybe 2 years. About a year ago, he came back to me, and he basically said, he goes, it's not about the money anymore. It's about the way you treat me compared to the way I've been treated. And he's like, I'll take a pay cut to come back to have the better quality
You got a better
than where
culture.
I'm at now.
Yep.
And he goes, they left me to, I use the word left me to die. They left me just struggling, no help.
Yeah.
You know, everything they promised me, they didn't promise
Yep.
me. I'm working so many hours a week. So either way, the point is this guy's specialty is like the tacos and the Latino
Yeah,
stuff.
perfect.
And like when I told him about this, he was like, oh yeah, I can't. Every Tuesday he gets so excited.
Oh, that's cool.
And the stuff he comes up with is like, it's as good as any Mexican restaurant. I mean, it's really good.
And that's cool because
Yeah.
if you really want Mexican food around here, or I guess anywhere, you got to go to that Mexican restaurant environment. Where if you can get that outside of that environment, it's actually a pretty cool concept.
And
you know?
not to mention we have the patio, so it's perfect outside. We have
Yeah.
30 tables outside.
Yeah.
Plus the bar, it's been working.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your specialty dishes and
Sure.
some of the things that people come here for. Because there's one item I know I come here for, and you're probably going to mention it. But
Yep.
what do you think is like your #1 hit that people say that will probably, I don't want to say never leave your menu, but what's like the one item that people like here?
I think it's between two.
Okay. Oh, actually, there's a second.
So one is the chicken caprese.
Yep.
That was invented literally before I was born. That was my mother's first restaurant, which was Pinocchio's on Route 6, literally late 70s, 80s. It was called the chicken caprese. It's basically a chicken cutlet with mozzarella, which is a brown sauce with mushrooms
Yep.
over pasta. It sounds simple, but it's simple and it's great.
Yeah.
So my mother did it. Then my uncle, who owned Eduardo's in Mount Kisco, kind of put his spin on it, called it Chicken Eduardo. Then we opened in 2004, brought it back to Chicken Caprese, and that's like our staple when it comes to chicken.
So it's actually, and that's one item I never had, so I'm gonna have that. next
Really?
time. Yeah, I've never had the chicken caprese. I've seen it, never had it.
We offer it at all your parties.
I know. Yeah.
So that's that one, and then the second one's the eggplant stack.
Yeah, that's the one.
I would like to say that I thought of the eggplant stack, but I lied. I would lie to you if I thought of it. It's actually, hate to use the word stole. I learned how to do it from Cafe Moderano's in Fort Lauderdale.
I love that place. Actually, yours and theirs are probably very comparable. Other people have done it. They try it, and it's just horrible. But
There's a
yours and theirs
secret.
are
I'm not going to
unmatched.
tell you, but there's a secret to it.
Well, you're both doing it very
Yeah.
well.
So I started going to that restaurant
Yeah.
my freshman year of college. I went on spring break for the first time. And I'm like, wow, this place is crazy.
Cool.
It's like disco
Like a
night.
dance club, yeah, every
it's
night.
like disco night every night. But the food is insane.
And the DJ's in the kitchen.
Yeah. It's absurd. It's probably, in my opinion, the best Italian food you can get
Yeah,
anywhere.
hands down.
It's
The
an American
al dente
Italian,
pasta is
yeah,
cool.
but it's the best food ever.
Yep.
He was my idol. His name's Steve Moderano.
Yeah, Steve Monroe, yep.
But so I got the eggplant stack there a bunch of times. I'm like, I could figure this out.
I didn't know you stole it from them. That's cool.
Yep, and I figured it out. So yes, It is my most popular dish. It's actually great for catering because it sits well because it's at room temperature. But Steve Martorano was the creator of eggplant stack, and I kind of made it famous in Granite Springs.
If you guys can't make it down to Fort Lauderdale, they'll come to Granite Springs, which is tradition.
Correct.
And have the eggplant stack. It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a young kid, and I'm like, what does it take to get into the restaurant business, restaurant ownership? What do you have any like tips and tricks that have worked for you over the years?
Don't do it.
Okay.
No. I've been very fortunate. Obviously, working hard makes a huge difference.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's a little bit of luck. I think that's in any business. Sometimes you just get lucky. I think I just happened to be looking at the penny saver that day.
Right.
That's how I found the spot, you know, and it could have went terribly wrong. Part of it's luck, you know. Sometimes you have all the right ideas, but you pick the wrong spot. Or maybe you have the right spot, but the wrong ideas. For anyone who's looking to get into the business, you need to know how to do everything. I know people who've opened restaurants that have never waited on tables. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
It's like owning a real estate brokerage with never selling a home. Like, you need, you know,
You need to know every facet.
you
of
need
it.
to have sold houses before
Right.
you own the company. But unfortunately, there's a lot of restaurant guys who've they don't know how to operate a dishwasher. They don't know how to cut a piece of chicken. They don't know how to make a Cosmo. Like, these are things you need to know how to do.
Now, if you want to own a restaurant and be someone behind the scenes, you can be the financier behind someone like yourself, and not have to know the restaurant business, but you would know business, and then they could find a guy like you. But if you're gonna do it yourself, because I see a lot of people who own restaurants and bars who are exactly like what you're saying, but the guy will say, "Oh, I own the bar, I own the restaurant, come to my place," and they're giving everything away. And then 6 months later, they're closed, but they got to say they own the restaurant.
Right.
And
You know?
it's a very big ego thing.
It's an ego thing.
They think owning a restaurant's going to be so
It's
glamorous,
glamorous,
and you're
yeah.
gonna walk around and you're.
Hey, I own the place.
First of all,
How you doing?
I never have a drink when I'm at work ever.
Smart, very smart.
You'll never see me have a glass of wine, not a drink. People offer you, no, thank you, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
No,
You're at work.
You can't drink at work.
That's like me day drinking with Dom or
Correct.
someone else.
It's no different. Yeah.
You guys are doing that.
Yeah, you can't drink at work, but people get caught up in it.
I know, they do.
I get it, but
Yeah.
never had a drink at work. Owning a restaurant is one of the hardest businesses to run and own in any industry. I mean, the failure rate in restaurants is higher than any other business. So, you're going into something where, statistically speaking, you're gonna fail.
What's the percentage? 70% or 0%?
I think within so many years, it's 70%.
70%,
It changes if you make it to like 5 years. Now the chances of going this, I think 7 years is the magical
marriage.
number. Yes. Yeah.
You're married to the restaurant.
Yeah. It is. I think 7 years is the magic number. If you hit 7 years, the chances of you going
Right.
forever are much better.
Yeah.
But the odds are against you. So you're getting into a business that, statistically speaking, there's more than a 50% chance that you're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
Just that alone.
Right.
It's like, would you go bet your life on
Yeah.
roulette, on red or black? Because this is worse than that. You have a better chance taking the 150, 200,000 you want to open up a restaurant. You have a better chance of going and putting a red or black.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that to discourage people from doing it, but you
Right.
need to be realistic. Like, you're not going to get health benefits.
Right.
Right.
You have to pay for them.
Right.
There's some weird tax ramifications because you're K1s and 1099s, and you end up having to pay your taxes a little differently. Sometimes it can cost you more. Then you have write-offs, so that helps. But there's a lot of different ways of doing it.
So you've probably seen as a restaurant owner over the years, other people opening, down the street, around town, even 10 miles where you hear, but there's all new hot place. And as a restaurant owner, you might be like, okay, let's see how they operate or how they work. And then maybe like you might lose a little clientele because they're go trying the new guy because it's a hot, shiny object. But then in 3-4 months, you're smiling. How many times?
I'm laughing because
How many times has that happened over the years? More times than not.
Countless.
Countless.
And for the first 5 to 8 years, new place would open, I would be like a nervous wreck.
Yeah, right.
I'd be looking, driving by, are they busy?
Checking
They're
their
busier
menu.
than me? Did I do
Checking their
something?
prices.
Yep. Yeah. You still,
Banging their windows.
yeah, no. You still got to do the price thing, so you want to stay competitive.
Yeah, right.
You want to
Agreed.
make sure you're not overcharging or undercharging. You still have to do that, but it used to get me freaked out. And like you said, eventually, we're still here.
The sizzle wears away and they come back.
And my mom always said to me, and I never really understood it, I didn't believe her, I just thought it was one of those old sayings.
She's probably less
She's-
nervous than you, right?
She never cared. She goes, it's who's there it's staying power. It's
Staying
who's there
power.
the longest.
Right.
It's not who's the busiest.
Right.
Because over time, and she was right, 18 years later, we're still here.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of restaurants that have opened and closed, a lot of really busy ones, and people would love to throw it in my face. Did you see so-and-so's restaurant?
Yeah, we're
They had an
jamming.
hour wait at the door. I know. I had a slow night that night.
Yeah.
But 18 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm busier now than I was years ago, you know, so my business just grew over time.
Right.
But yes, that used to make me crazy.
Right.
Now, I'll go have dinner at the place.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I don't look at anyone as competition.
That's true. And that's, I think a lot of people in business fail because they look at everyone as, or they're focusing more on the competition than what they could do better to create staying power, make themselves better. They focus too much on the competition. So it's like, just block it out. You're gonna have competition. Don't even worry about them. Don't even, just do
Yeah.
what you gotta do.
Not to say you can't learn from other people.
Of course,
or
yeah,
other
no, learn from
restaurants,
them all the time. Agree.
But you can't focus on what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to pricing, like I said, you have to have
Yeah,
an
pricing,
idea.
yeah.
At the end of the day, you do what you do, and if it's working, you don't change it.
Right.
If it's not working, all right, now you got to look otherwise. But it used to drive me crazy. It drove me insane. And people would come in, and they wouldn't do it maliciously, but they'd love to be like, oh, so-and-so's, they're booked 2 weeks out. You know,
Yeah.
you should have seen this, you should have seen that. And it's like, okay, well, you're here.
You're here telling me.
telling me this, so I
Yeah,
must
right.
be doing something right.
What
Right.
can I get for you?
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's a really good question. It used to drive me nuts. Now I don't care.
Well, now you know that you guys are people. Obviously here for you. They're here for the experience. They're here. Yeah, listen. Outside of you and your mother, your staff is awesome here.
Yeah,
So obviously
I
it's an
have-
extension of you, though, right?
I have such a good staff. My kitchen staff has been with me, I mean, since we opened, really. You know, I mean, it's the same guys. And I just keep adding more and more and more. But the kitchen staff has been here forever. And
The wait staff is awesome.
wait
Bartenders are
staff
awesome.
is all, like, I say kids because mostly in their 20s, but
Yeah.
they're like the best kids in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. You know, we have 10, 15 people on a Saturday night, no problem. They're all local. I hate using the word kids, but they're all local people.
And they all make really good. Before I get to that, because
Yeah.
I just thought of this, are you having any? It doesn't sound like you have any problems with staffing now.
Zero.
Zero.
And I'm not saying it to brag. I've had no issues with staffing.
That's great.
You know, I mean, during COVID, there were those times where a couple of people got sick and you were short. But
Yeah. How'd you guys do during COVID? Were you doing a lot of takeout and stuff, or a lot of delivery, or any of that? Or?
yeah, we were really fortunate in that the to-go business was well. I mean, I remember the week we opened, there was lines of people waiting to get to-go food, you know, and then we had the outdoor seating, and we had 40 tables outside.
Yeah, that's good.
No one had that,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
you know, and then we went inside, and, you know, so we were very fortunate through COVID that we
Did well.
did well.
Good.
You know, we did well. We were here. We kept everyone employed. My staff was people were so generous. I mean, to-go orders are leaving $50 tips, $20 tips.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
People want to spend money.
Yeah. People were so generous. The community was so good. It was like they couldn't wait to come spend money.
Yeah, they want to, and they want to support
Yeah.
you because
Yeah,
how great you are.
And
So can I ask you a COVID question? So is there anything that you learned through COVID that actually still sticking with you today?
the
If somebody
to-goes,
what's that?
The to-go business.
The to-go business, which you really didn't do before.
I did, but you know, I developed.
You
and
didn't-
I
you developed like a department around
Correct.
there,
So
you
I have like an app now where you could go download the Traditions app. You know, it comes in, you pick up your food.
Right.
It's right on the App Store. Traditions 118.
You hear that? Traditions 118 on your app store,
Yeah.
whether Google or Android.
Go in there, pay, pick it up. Then I also have another. It's like an aggregate. It's really a platform. And what they do is they take Uber Eats, Seamless, Grubhub,
DoorDash.
and DoorDash. Now, I now use all 4 of those companies. Before I never did, because I didn't want to have to deal with multiple tablets. I didn't want to have to I just don't want to deal with it.
Right.
I felt like I didn't need to. So now I have this new company called Mealco. They've developed like an aggregate program where they take all those companies and it's on one tablet.
Oh, cool.
Not only do they do that, but they manage the back end. So I don't have to go into Grubhub.com. I don't need to do anything. They literally manage it all for you. They do the pictures, they do the pricing. Everything comes in, they collect all the money, and then they reimburse me. Any customer questions, or any of my questions, I have a little tab I could go in and ask them. It's 24-hour customer service. They also do like these ghost kitchen brands.
Yeah.
So like one of the brands is, the little mochis.
Yeah.
So like one of the products, I sell them here as a dessert. It's called Mochi Doki. It's out of New York City. It's like a high-end mochi. They're so good. So we sell them here, but if you went on to Grubhub, you can order these Mochi Dokis, and the driver comes, picks them up, and drops them off to you. People don't realize it's coming from Traditions. I'm just like a hub where they pick them up and drop them off.
That's awesome.
So yeah, does it add up? A little bit here and there.
Yeah,
You
but
know, I'm not making $1 million off of it, but at the end of the month, a couple orders, it adds up.
But it gives you a way to beta test things with different brands you could launch out of here with the same kitchen, the same space. You could do a lot of it during the day, whether it's donuts or burgers or whatever you can. You can create another space within your own restaurant, and no one knows it's coming from here. And you can launch other brands like right out of here.
And that's exactly, so this is actually one of my cousin retired from Facebook, and he owns a VC firm, and this is actually one of his companies that he's invested in and helped runs. So way in the beginning, I was kind of like the beta model for the software. Now, like with a couple different brands we've tried, and they just kind of used me as a test run. But in the meantime, beta model, I'm making money. Because all those pickups and deliveries from Grubhub, kind of looking now, it's really starting to add up. You quantify it, and it's like, wow, it's found money.
So I hear other restaurants talk the opposite, that saying, oh, I don't want to give my money to these platforms because they're taking business from me and blah, blah, blah. Did you kind of like resist that in the beginning because you thought you didn't need them? Like, oh, I think would they pay 30% or something? Or 20%?
It's a little less. Each company's a little different. But you have the option of setting your prices where you want them.
Right, so you could charge an extra $2 for some people pay, right?
Yeah, listen, my prices are significantly more expensive when you order delivery. But that's just to make up for the money I have to pay.
Right.
Not to mention the to-go bags, the to-go
there's a lot more to go with it, exactly.
So if you want to have it delivered, it's a luxury.
And
you have the option of picking up. You can pick it up.
Yeah.
And you pay the regular prices. If you want to have it delivered, you're going to pay more. So
did you push against it first when these things started coming out, and then eventually got on board and realized it was, because I look at, obviously I'm on the restaurant, but I look at like, hey, if you had to pay drivers and delivery and all that, now there's no liability on you, there's no insurance, there's no cars, there's no that, and you use these third-party services who all the liability is on them. I mean, there's got to be value to that.
Yeah, so initially when the COVID thing first hit, it was like, maybe we should do delivery. So I called my insurance guy, said, we want to do delivery. He said, don't do it.
Yeah.
I was like, why? He's like, well, technically.
Even if it's their car.
If it's their car, you're responsible.
Right.
You need
100%.
to have a car in Traditions' name, insured by Traditions.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, forget it. Already too complicated.
Yeah.
I'll up my prices a couple of dollars on Grubhub to make up for the commission and just let them deal with it. And I've had no issues.
Yeah.
If there's ever been an issue, it's because I forgot to put something in the bag.
Right.
So the customer calls me, and usually I get one of my busboys to say, hey, go run this over to their house.
Yeah. Smart.
But yeah, I think you had mentioned earlier, back to, I wanted to talk about it, I forgot, tips for someone getting involved in the restaurant.
Yeah, there you go.
If you're going to be one of those present owners, if you're going to be the face of a restaurant, you need to be a part of the community.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
You need to be involved. I don't have children, so my kids aren't in the schools, but I went to a bunch of Somers football games last year. I mean, they were really good to watch.
Right.
I knew all my customers. Literally, people are screaming, did you bring eggplant stacks? As I'm walking by. But you want to be a part of the community because a couple of those kids work for me.
Right.
And you have to be a part of the community. You have to donate your time. You have to donate gift cards. Anyone comes in, I'm never going to say no to a gift card.
Right.
I won't write checks anymore because it gets to be a little too much. Come in, as long as it's a legitimate cause, I'm going to give you a gift card.
Yeah, it comes back to you.
Yeah,
Then-
yeah. A $50 gift card, people always spend more than $50.
Yeah.
You know, and my staff makes a tip. But you got to be a part of the community. It's easier for me because I grew up around here.
Yeah, true.
You know, but I always talk about the Villa Barone guys that like they're a family that didn't grow up in Northern Westchester,
Yeah.
moved to Northern Westchester,
Yeah.
knowing people, but
Yeah.
not the way that I know people
Yeah.
or you know people growing up,
Yeah.
and they became a part of the community.
Fast.
Kids are in their schools.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
know all the local places, like,
Yeah.
and these were two Italian guys. I'm Italian. I'm allowed to say it. These were two real Italian guys from down county that came up here, and they became part of the community.
Entrenched into everything.
Yeah, and it's so important. So much
Yeah.
of your success, so much of the restaurant, and just local business
Well, even
owners.
my business.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
local.
local real
Yeah.
estate. So everyone knows me locally. Everyone knows Dom locally now.
Yeah.
So it's like you just got to get entrenched in the communities that you serve.
So
you know,
it's
we're-
not impossible to do it if you're not from the area. You just need to make more of an effort.
Right. Yeah, it's right. It's not
You
impossible
know,
to make more.
and
of that.
then as far as like hiring, like these are all Somers kids, Mayapack kids, Yorktown kids. I mean, just hiring these bus boys and waitresses, the amount of money that their families spend here
Yeah.
pays for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, on any given night, at least one of my wait staff's family members come to eat dinner.
Yeah. Right.
Like, all right, it's not. I mean, I would think it's because the food's good as well.
Of
I
course.
mean, they all came here before, but like, these kids pay for themselves
Yeah.
every night. Every night. I mean, sometimes the parents are in 2 or 3 times a week. So I always try to hire local people, and it works. It's almost like it makes you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and for years I always had like a more mature, I use the word older, but older staff, you know, more adults. In the past, since COVID, really, it's gotten much younger. It wasn't by design; it just kind of worked out that was the only people around to work. And there was also a lot of up and down steps and outside, and like it's harder for certain older people to handle that. So the staff has gotten much younger. Like, it's not by design; it's just the way it worked out.
But it's good to hear that because everyone talks about the millennials. I think when I see young kids working, even my son is a hard worker. My daughter's not working, but she's really focused with sports. She's a hard worker that way.
Yep.
I think there is still a very good, strong work ethic out there in this world. It's not diminished by this social media and stuff. Now, that's a whole other conversation, but you do see that the younger generations, they work hard, they have personalities, which is a big thing in the restaurant business, a big thing in the real estate industry. I tell my kids, like, 1, you gotta be very resourceful. 2, you gotta have a personality, ask a lot of questions, and be nice and just have conversations with people, because that's like 90% of it right there. And then I do see when I come here that there is a good, strong working backbone in the younger generation up and coming to who's gonna be the next us.
Yeah.
And you see that, right?
Yeah, I agree. But every kid should work in a restaurant.
100%.
Every kid.
I agree 110%.
I've seen 14, 15-year-old kids, quiet.
Yep.
I hate to use the word nerdy, but
Yeah.
not very well-spoken or outspoken. They work here for 1 year, and it's like they're a different
Totally
kid.
different person.
Because they're around all the young girls and the older girls in the kitchen and around me and my mother.
And
It's
just
like,
asking, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
it's
just taking an order.
It's literally nothing you're going to learn in school. It's nothing you're going to learn in
Never.
therapy. It's nothing. And I literally see the way these kids come out of the shop. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
they
cool.
literally, they become different people. And there is a good work ethic. All the Somers, all these kids, they work so hard. Like
They do.
They beg me for days.
And they're playing sports during the
Yeah,
day.
and I got the, the best Somers football player right now, Jake Polito. He's 285 pounds, and he busts his tables here.
Wow. Cool.
And he begs me to work. No, come the school year, come the season, he can't work, but
All right.
loves to work. And he literally picks up tables with one hand. It's the craziest thing. And he just turned 17.
Wow.
And he's 285 pounds. This kid's a monster. So yeah, right?
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Michael, thank you for all your time. It's
welcome.
been very, very well received and well deserved on our end. So anybody watching this, if you come in and say that you saw this, Michael will buy you a drink. So just please, when you come to the bar or the restaurant, just say, hey, I saw the video through Cardilla Real Estate. And is there anything else that you want to wind down with?
You and your family are exempt from the offer.
Okay, so I'm exempt from the office.
And nothing. It was just it was nice speaking to you guys, and just, you know, the best thing I could say to close is just how fortunate and lucky myself and my mother have been.
So listen, I know you say fortune and luck, and people say that to me too about fortune and luck. So luck is definitely a piece of it, but do you think you work hard and work more hours a week than if you could go work for somebody else?
There's no doubt in my mind that I work. And listen, and when I say work, I'm not digging ditches. You know,
Right, exactly.
You know, there's people who physically work way harder than I do.
Right,
You know,
correct.
there's police officers, there's firemen, there's doctors. You know.
But they turn it off sometimes when they leave. Do you turn this
Correct.
off?
No.
You're
No.
home midnight watching something in your house.
Yes, and I think that's a big.
Or you see something on TV and
It's people work harder than me. People work more hours than me. Even though I do work hard and we do work long hours.
Yeah.
The difference in this business is that the business is never closed.
Right.
Today's Monday.
Right. Yeah.
I'm here.
We're here.
Yeah.
Before you got here, I just happened to catch a lady who showed up and wanted to book a party. So I showed
Perfect.
her around. And now I'm going to do the scheduling. You know, I go
Yeah.
home at night. After a busy night, I can't sleep for 2 hours.
Yep.
Because I'm thinking about the 2 things we did wrong.
Right.
Not the 200 things we did wrong, that we did right.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I'm like, oh, that one steak went out,
Yep.
Yeah.
overdone.
Yeah.
And that's all I could think about.
Right.
So, yes, we've been blessed, we've been fortunate, we've
Yes.
been lucky.
But your heart and your soul is here.
Yes, and the community's been so good.
Yeah. Good.
You don't last for 18 years on luck.
No, yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything, and like just everyone locally, even businesses. You guys, how many parties you've done here? over
Yeah,
the
we
years?
do a lot.
All the schools just did their part. I mean, it's endless.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, like I said, fortunate and grateful.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Mike, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Dom, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
All right, guys. Take
Thank
care.
you.